I'm talking to you today about the importance of emotions, being curious about them, and how you may be misinterpreting them. Check it out. Do not ignore your fear. Do not push past your fear. It is trying to tell you something. Take a moment and be curious about that. All of your emotions are trying to tell you something. Emotions are not something to push down or to avoid. They are a key piece of feedback. They're not something to dismiss or ignore. You cannot actually control what you feel, but you can control how you respond to what you feel. And a key aspect of that is actually understanding what you feel and deciding what you want your response to that to be. And this is what we're going to talk about today. Emotions are a bit like language, kind of like reading music. You can imagine that those lines and the little dots are just some squiggly thing there that you don't understand and you just sort of ignore it. Or you can decide to put in a little bit of practice so that you can read the music and maybe even hear it. That's what your emotions are like. Some people consider emotions to be the spice of life. How boring would life be without them? They add flavor, they add texture, they add excitement. Think about the different types of emotions that you experience through a day, and they can be overwhelming, but it's also a really beautiful experience. Instead of avoiding them, consider that your emotions are trying to talk to you. They're trying to give you some piece of feedback. They're trying to tell you what they need, what your body needs, what your mind needs, what is happening with you, what you're experiencing in that moment. Once you learn about yourself, your emotions, and what to do when they appear for you, what your body's asking you for, then you start to develop something called emotional intelligence. And the next level of emotional intelligence is having an ability to connect with other people, to understand what they need when they might not know what they need. And this is what makes great leaders, great partners, great friends. So I think there's a very good case to be made for building emotional intelligence, being curious about your emotions, and spending some time practicing with yourself on identifying your emotions and also deciding how to respond to them. If you choose not to explore your emotions, there are some pretty negative consequences. Connection is a key aspect of your well-being, as we talk about in some of the other videos. So if you want to connect more deeply with people, then having an understanding of your emotions is helpful. Because have you ever been in one of those situations where you're kind of irritated or frustrated, but it's not at the person that's around you, it's at something else, but you just kind of snap at them or respond to them in a way that's not commiserate with what's actually going on? Have you ever felt overwhelmed or responded, with tears to something that isn't appropriate, or laughed at something that isn't appropriate? Just had these kind of outbursts of emotions that you don't understand. And when someone says, "Hey, what do you need?" You're feeling angry, you're feeling frustrated. You're like, I don't know what I'm feeling." That can be frustrating for both you and the person trying to connect with you. There are also physical benefits to understanding your emotions. As I said in some of the other videos, being lonely is not good for you. It releases cortisol. It's like smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So even if you're around people and you have this sort of distance, it's not good for your health. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my experience with freediving. So as a part of learning to surf, I decided to take some freediving classes. And freediving is the idea that you go underwater and you stay there as long as you can, or you go as deep as possible, or some combination of the two things. And so I went in and tried this out. And the first thing they do is put an oxygen meter on your finger, and they time you, and they say, okay, how long can you hold your breath? And so I go there and I close my eyes and I put my hand over my nose and my mouth and I hold my breath for as long as I can before I feel like, okay, I get afraid. I feel fear. I feel uncertainty. I feel not safe. I feel, oh, I'm going to suffocate now. I need oxygen right now. I need to breathe right now. If I were underwater, I would potentially drown right now because I'm starting to feel panicky. And I say, okay, I'm feeling panicky. Take a big breath. Okay, my time is up. 45 seconds. And prior to this, they took my oxygen temperature, or my oxygen saturation, and it was 99%. After I held my breath for 45 seconds, it was 97%, which for the record is nowhere near dangerous level. Nowhere near it. So I was safe, but I had an experience that I wasn't safe. And then the instructor explains to us that that urge to breathe does not come from a place of, I need more oxygen, which is proven by the oxygen saturation meter. Instead, it is a little signal from my body that it wants me to expel carbon dioxide. That's a big change. I was interpreting something as dangerous, as I was about to die. And all it was a minor alarm that said, hi, we would like for you to expel carbon dioxide. I was not actually in any danger. That changed my world. It was mind-blowing to me. So I thought my body was very clearly indicating what it wanted from me, and I thought I understood it very clearly. And now I understand that I actually have no idea what my body's saying to me. It's crazy. And what would happen? How would my world open up if the same thing were true in other aspects of my life? If I was just getting it wrong, just interpreting it wrong. And then we said, okay, within 2 or 3 minutes, let's just do it again. Now that you have this information, let's do it again. So I did it again, and I got 1:45 seconds. So over 100% increase just by them explaining to me and showing me visually with the oxygen saturation meter that I wasn't in danger. So then when that fear came up, I could say, no, that's not fear. That's not survival mechanism. That's not something I need to react to quickly or I'm going to die. It is simply a little red light, a little notification. Hi, we would like for you to get rid of the carbon dioxide that's here. And carbon dioxide saturation is something that you can practice. I can build up a tolerance to having more carbon dioxide in my body. And there are studies that that's even good for you. So over 100% increase just by learning this key piece of information, listening to my emotions, interpreting them in a slightly different way because I was curious about what was going on there, and big outcome change for me. And there's the second part, which is if you're holding your breath and you're afraid, then you're burning more oxygen, which guess what? Creates more carbon dioxide, which means that you're going to get that signal earlier. It's crazy. So just think about all the other aspects and places in your life that maybe you're misinterpreting something that your body's telling you. Maybe you think you're in danger and you're not. Maybe you're having emotions to something and there's actually just a really interesting message there for you to interpret and learn. So where do you start? Okay, so first thing we're going to do today is just start by identifying your emotions when you feel them. Step 1. So take a moment, close your eyes, and think about what you're feeling right now. Try not to use the words good or fine. Those are not emotions. And try to be as specific as possible. So not okay or something like that. You want to say, I'm feeling afraid or powerless or irritated or joy or excitement or determination. There are a list of emotions that you can find online, or we have them in our courses as well. So take a look at some of these lists. Think about this thing. Be as specific as possible, and note that it's not just one emotion usually. It's a cluster. It's a combination of emotions. Explore that a little bit. Notice if you move towards one or two specific emotions over and over. we see that come up a lot. So be aware of that's something that you do. That could be one of two things. One is that you have a habit of feeling that way, which is something that you can choose to change if you want to. Or maybe it's something that's coming up for you that needs to be addressed. Your body or your mind is noting that to you over and over and over. And what would happen if you were just curious about that? You would change your day-to-day life experience. So be curious about that. This is Chosen Insight series. The next video I suggest you watch is one about when to engage and when to relax. And we have another one about how to make a life-altering connection in under 7 minutes. You'll love that one too. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next video.